Mic'd up.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 12 of Highlights from Lowlife. We have tonight Jeff Jones, Rob Lannerman, and Marty Brown. And tonight we're going to talk about your 5 most hated football players of all time. We got some interesting comments from the group. I don't want to hate anybody, but if I did, it would be this guy.
Hey, they're 86th. Wait a minute. No. Come on.
I will tell you.
Get into it.
During my research, I was reintroduced to some people that reinvigorated my hate. So testosterone levels very high. So we are the Lowlifes. We're a group of guys that got together during the pandemic when we couldn't play baseball together anymore, and we got on some Zoom calls, had some fun topics, and started in on doing some top 5s, which have evolved over time. We met up with the folks at Mic'd Up, and they graciously agreed to let us host a show on here. And we're creating our huge fan base. We've got, I don't know, a couple million by now, right, guys? It's got to be pretty high.
Is that the count or the money they've sent us already?
I can't even go to the grocery store.
Oh, okay, cool.
So tonight's format is we're going to do a countdown of the top 5 from 5 to 1. We can be found, the highlights from Lowlifes can be found on YouTube. Look for us. And all of our archived videos are there. We have a Facebook page. We have an Instagram page. And we want you guys to participate. So tonight, if you have a chance, look down in the app and you'll see the microphone button. Click on that microphone button and record a 30-second comment about tonight's topic. And if we like it, we're going to play it on the air for you and comment about it. So we have a few comments lined up already. You can put those in advance. But without further ado, let's get started. Marty, you seem very excited. Let's start with number 5 for you.
Well, we're now getting into football, so there's a couple to accentuate the occasion. There's a couple jerseys back there, so we're into the football mode now. My top 5, and it's dark when you get into all the characters that come into football. But the man would be remiss if he didn't show up right at the beginning, and that's Bill Romanowski.
Oh, yeah.
Bill Romanowski played for a number of teams, the 49ers, Broncos, and he's rather successful. I think he's got 4 Super Bowl rings. But he's also known for some of his antics, like kicking people in the head, helmet-to-helmet contact. Even before there was helmet-to-helmet contact, he would just take people out. He in one game against J.J. Stokes and the 49ers, he spat at him. I mean, this guy, and at the top of it all, he broke the eye socket of a teammate in a fight in practice. What's wrong with this character? Well, it was obviously the roid. I knew it was something like that. Roid rage. And there was something I saw in the little. He's all, what comes around goes around. He's also now being sued by the IRS for $5.3 million in undeclared income.
All good.
Wow.
So I'll tell you about the guy, Bill Romanowski. He's on the list. Jeff, who do you have?
All right. So a lot of guys that I was looking at for this list had to do with guys that my biggest pet peeve, style over substance. And they make more about the style than they do about their actual talent, even if they are super talented. It's more about the style and the look at me moments and look at how great I am. The first one comes to us, and it's literally style over substance. Their Hard Knocks show, they spent more time on his tailor than they did on their first round draft pick, Christian McCaffrey. And that is Cam Newton.
Oh,
Yes.
They literally spent more time with his tailor than they talked about Christian McCaffrey in his rookie year. That's how much style over substance. It might as well be the Cam Newton looks good show. That's all it was.
Hey, Jeff, isn't he the guy that wears the Mary Poppins bonnet in press conferences after the games?
He's got some weird stuff. I personally have never seen the Mary Poppins bonnet, but he's got some very weird hats as well. So,
It's a cry for attention. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's my number 5. I'll throw it to Robbie.
Well, thank you, sir.
Mhm.
All right. So
Sir?
the first, well, I was being polite, which is
Okay.
mark this date.
Yeah. What started this all of a sudden?
So the first 3 guys that came to mind as I wrote them down, they're my 1, 2, and 3. And then I immediately noticed I had a pattern. So I went out of my way to pick 4 and 5 to pick the pattern. So I want to see if you guys can figure out the pattern before it's all said and done tonight.
No.
Yeah, 4 and 5. I had to do a little extra research, but I figured them out. So my number 5 is Tyrone Williams, a cornerback that played for Green Bay, Atlanta, and Denver. Multiple illegal, unlawful discharges of firearms in the locker room. I want to make sure I don't miss this because I love the phrase. In Atlanta, he was let go because conduct detrimental to the team. I love that's such a great phrase, right?
Yes.
Now, allegedly, it was physical threats against the coaching staff and stuff like that, but conduct detrimental to the team. So when you get that kind of designation, you got to make this list. So Tyrone Williams, my first pick.
Nice.
Yeah. And
Webby?
it's always important to carry a firearm into the locker room because I'm sure there's no security at these NFL events. So always need to protect yourself. So, yeah. All right.
All right,
I
Webby.
have one that I found during my research that I had completely forgotten about this guy, and he was in the NFL for a long, long time. I don't know how or why he was in the NFL for this long. But guys, I'm bringing him up because Cornhusker 69, who has not been watching the show for a while, this guy went to his school, University of Nebraska. Richie Incognito.
Oh God. Yes.
Okay.
Totally agree.
Offensive lineman for a bunch of different teams. And I remember during the NFL draft, the year he was going to be selected, they got that Mel Kiper Jr. guy coming on there telling us where everybody's going to be selected. And he looks right in the camera and says, this guy should be in the round number 1, but because he can't control his temper on the field, I see him slipping down into round 6 and 7, which is pretty much what happened. He spent quite a while in the NFL, almost 2 decades. But during that time, he proved to be racist. He went after a teammate, Jonathan Martin, just because of the way he dressed. He went after the team's athletic trainers because they were Asian, and he didn't like them and blamed them for Pearl Harbor, which happened in
that old trope.
1941. I'm sure it really had a big effect on Richie Incognito's life. But yeah, that guy's number 5. And on some of these, when we're talking about him, I'm thinking, there's something to be said about these guys getting hit in the head and maybe having to be having some mental health issues. And I don't want to make fun of anybody in that regard, but some of the things these guys did, you just can't believe sometimes.
Well, and
So
a lot of these guys had the issues before the head hit. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He
he was on
exacerbated.
my list, and I'll have to amend it now because there was one point where he threatened to rape a teammate's sister. How crazy is that? Not
Yes.
this guy was absolutely nuts.
Yeah. This weird stuff. All right, so that is round 5. We are complete. Let's just jump right into round 4. Robbie, start us off.
All right, round 4. This is my second guy I had to do the extra research on. This guy, Christian Peter. And you're probably saying, who the hell is Christian Peter? Well, he played for the Colts, the Bears, I think the Giants, but he was a guy that maybe the Patriots should have done a little more draft research on. He was drafted, and then in less than a week, the Patriots denounced his rights. There's another one I like. We denounced
His rights.
So he has everything from threatening a parking attendant, public urination, refusing to comply with police, allegations of rape, groping women in bars. One of them was a Miss Nebraska, so you got that going for you. Which is nice. But yeah, so he kept landing jobs, which completely baffles me. But this guy seems to have tried to run the gamut of everything that borderline misdemeanor to felony region. So congratulations, covering them all. Way to go, Christian Peter.
So we're supposed to be trying to figure out a theme.
Yes.
So far, these guys have some of the same vowels and consonants in their name. So I got that.
Well, you're on the right track because, well, I'll explain it later. Vowels and consonants are not a big part of the allure. All right.
All right, who's up?
Well, let's go back to you, Mr. Weber.
All right. Well, those of you that know me well know that I'm a big Chicago Bears fan. Grew up with them in the Midwest, and they were awful. I remember Bobby Douglas was one of my favorite players. He was the worst quarterback in the NFL, but he scored a couple touchdowns, so I thought he was great. But I yearned for the years when the Bears would make a Super Bowl. And I loved Walter Payton. I loved the refrigerator. I loved most of that Super Bowl team, except I hated the quarterback, Jim McMahon. Just a terrible person, screaming for attention all the time. Look at me, look at me. In reality, he was very average. He was suitable for a Bears team that ran a lot. He could throw an occasional pass. I remember after he left the Bears, he was trying to hang on in the NFL for years afterwards and got to another Super Bowl in '96 with the Packers. And the Packers were invited to the White House. And McMahon wore his Bears jersey. Again, a huge cry for help. Look at me. I wasn't a part of the victory, so I'm just going to show up and try to gain attention. Just not a good person, and continues to not be a good person. So he is my number 4 pick. Jeff.
All right, more style over substance, but the substance really came up short once he was proven how the style was covering for his lack of substance. In college, he was one of the first ones I remember that was the hey, look at me types. All through college, you couldn't get away from them covering him, talking about him, being on as soon as he got out of college, commercials all over the place. He get drafted in the NFL. It's this guy this and this guy that. And then one day he got put on his butt and he was never the same. Brian Bosworth.
Yep.
As soon as he got put on his butt, it was over and nobody cared about him anymore.
Yeah, on Monday Night Football.
Monday Night Football. Was that Bo Jackson?
Yep.
Yep.
Sure was.
Okay. Yeah.
And the Raiders. Yep.
And the Raiders. I just love that. Just all right, there goes the Nike commercials.
And
Jeff, you failed to mention his incredible acting career after that.
Well, yeah, well, that's where he had to go after that, and you just how well that worked out for him.
he's not a bad cop in the Dr. Pepper ads. I mean, come on, he's okay. cut him some slack. He's okay.
Yeah, he's perfect for a
Where's
Dr.
the guy with
Pepper
a
ad.
face painted one side and the other? I mean, good.
All right, that's that leaves you, Marty.
Okay. Wait. And this is another individual who was on the stage and then couldn't quite handle it, but he didn't stomp on somebody's head, or he didn't hit people, or he didn't do. He was convicted of conspiracy to commit murder of his girlfriend, Ray Caruth. Now, this is a while ago. He was he was with the Panthers, 2001, 2002, or something like that. But I goodness gracious! I mean, I can understand violence, Royce, but trying to literally murdering someone is your pregnant girlfriend. That's got to scrape the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah.
But so Ray Caruth, and I think he's out now. I think he's out of prison, but yeah.
So he's watching.
Yeah.
So he's watching, is what you're saying.
Yeah, and he said, "Yeah, and tell everybody where I live now." Go ahead, guys. Thanks. So I think that's the end of our second round. I believe I was bringing up the rear.
So what do we do now? What time is it?
Well, it's time once again for our favorite segment. What you drinking?
Hey, that's a new one.
Sponsored by Almanac Brewing. I think tonight, as I look around at the four of us, I'm guessing we're all drinking Almanac. Tonight, I am drinking a new release, which you guys will get some here eventually, but I am enjoying thoroughly. This is the Porch Light Lager. It's a new lager release from them, and it is freaking amazing. I had been drinking, as you know, the Rocktoberfest for the last several weeks. They are out of that product. So if you find it in the stores, you better snatch it up now because it's delicious and it's almost gone. So anyway, Porch Light Lager.
Can I tell you something, Robbie? I was at a beer fest last weekend, and all the beers sucked except one. Almanac Porch Light Lager.
So you had it.
Yes.
That's awesome.
I am sticking with Kolsch. Can't get away from a good thing here.
So you were that kid, Jeff, that always had to have peanut butter and jelly for lunch, no matter what happened.
Yeah, especially when the other kids were trying to get me to eat the sardines or the. Then just I'll stick with my PB&J. Thank you very much.
Marty?
I think Marty started the what you drinking segment a little bit early.
Oh, really?
When did I stop?
That was 3 hours ago.
I got the Kolsch also. Where I live, there's a lot of breweries around, and some of them are really good. Some of them come up with a Kolsch every once in a while, and you got to give it a stab. But none of them come close. This is the top drawer. This is the number one standard.
I see.
Almanac. Thank you, Almanac.
I am drinking the Almanac Sparkling Ale again. Stop laughing at me.
Take the label off.
This is brewed with passion fruit and pineapple. And I've got an entire case of this. And I would love to share with you guys because I want you to drink this with me and enjoy it because it's good. On a day like today, it's good. It's warm. It's a lot better than the coffee stout on a day like today. So I will be drinking the sparkling ale.
Delicious. Well done. All right.
All
Well,
right.
anyway, Almanac Brewing, located in Alameda, California. They love visitors. Stop in there and tell them you watch the highlights from Lowlife Show and enjoy Almanac Brewing.
Yes. And we told you last week we're still planning a visit out to the brewery. And that will happen sometime soon, and we will let you know in advance. I believe we're going to attempt to do the show from Almanac. So
We got a wisecrack related to your beer.
The sparkling ale must be the champagne of beers now.
That's correct. That is absolutely correct. Yes.
Do the bubbles tickle your nose?
All right. Let's move on to round 3. Geez, I got a big list of hated players yet, so I'm gonna have Jeff start off this round.
Oh, which one to choose? Which one to choose? There's so many garbage people in the NFL. We only have 3 left, and I got 6 on my list. So, which one to choose? I'll go with the guy who went to jail for dogfighting, Michael Vick.
Oh, yes. Mhm.
What a despicable piece of garbage. And I hope he gets attacked by a pack of dogs in the middle of the night. And anybody who was involved in that ring with him, they can be involved in that attack too. Can't stand it.
Yeah.
Sorry, not funny. Don't have anything funny to say about him. Piece of garbage.
Understood.
Marty.
And I said at the beginning, you go through this list of all these people who've done all these things. So I'm try to lighten it up a little bit, but he's still hated. He was that asshole quarterback on the other team, Captain Knauer, longest yard. He was the guard. He was the guard that took our hero into the warden's office and told him we don't need her. Tell him we don't need. Well, you don't want to help and everything. And he took him back and he beat him up and all. He was terrible. He's an awful person. And then he was the quarterback on the bad guys team, Captain Knauer.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to apologize.
Come on, we gotta lighten this thing up.
Misunderstood
Come on,
the
guys, this is
assignment.
heavy stuff. Give me a break. Robbie, get me out of here.
No, he was Marty. He was in the middle of an apology to our fans when you talked over him. Go ahead, Rob. Finish.
I said we'd like to apologize for Marty tonight. He clearly did not understand the assignment.
Wait a minute. Hated football players. Hated football players. He was a football player. You got to tighten these things up, or my mind goes.
Oh, brother. All right.
All right, who's up, Marty?
Yeah.
Robbie's up.
Robbie's up.
Yep. My number 3 has already been mentioned, but he's got to be mentioned again. Richie Incognito. And apparently one of our listeners agrees with me.
You'd think with a last name like Incognito that you kind of have a reputation to hold up to just keep your mouth shut.
That pretty much says it all. Rob covered everything, but there's one key point you missed. That after his career, Incognito said he had learned a lot and that he made a website and an organization that was supposed to help out bullying because, quote unquote, he'd been on both sides of it.
Jesus Christ.
More one side than other, but you know.
Yeah.
Wow.
I would like the donation money tracked very carefully.
No kidding.
Yeah, where's the IRS when you need them?
Yeah, can't wait to send my kid to that camp.
Yeah.
Richie Incognito runs a camp for kids about to be bullied.
Here's what happens when you get caught.
Yeah.
Oh, the guilt and shame he must have felt.
Oh, God.
Oh, that guy was a fool. All right. Who's left?
Me.
Weber.
Oh, Webby. Okay.
All right. I'm going to use the kind of the original hated man of the NFL. I'm sure there were others, but this guy wore this like a badge of honor. Conrad Dobler.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wanted to be hated. That he was an offensive lineman, and nobody cared about offensive linemen. So
Hey, wait, I was an offensive lineman.
yeah,
You're just
You
offensive.
just made his point.
you. Not one person remembers you.
Marty, you are 100% offensive.
So Sports Illustrated labeled him their first ever Pro Football's dirtiest player, which they've continued to do. They've continued to have the award. It's kind of in his honor. It should be a bust of Conrad Dobler. He's the guy that in a scrum of bodies for a fumble or after a big tackle with a bunch of bodies on the ground, he'd reach around and grab onto things that other people did not want to have grabbed onto, and he'd get some good pinches in, and nobody would know who did it, but he'd come out of there smiling like, "Look what I just did! Look, I was able to do that." I love this quote. This is an unnamed rival. What you need when you play Dobler is a string of garlic buds around your neck and a wooden stake. If they played every game under a full moon, Dobler would make all pro. He must be the only guy in the league who sleeps in a casket. So
God damn.
Did you know on an episode of what is Father Murphy with Merlin Olsen? Remember Merlin Olsen?
Yep.
He
Yeah, sure.
apparently really hated Conrad Dobler, and they're in a cemetery, and there is a tombstone with Conrad Dobler's name on it.
Fantastic.
perfect. Okay, that is the completion of round 3.
We're moving.
Right.
We're moving.
Go on to 2. And Marty, start us off.
Okay. And I have to apologize to Jeff because I'm gonna kind of steal kind of his motif because my number 2 guy is all about himself. He was an excellent ball player. He's hired like a hired gun. At least that's what the 49ers did, and that's what the Cowboys did. And it was still all about himself. It still is all about himself. And now that he's not playing anymore, but a coach. And if you watch any of the games that he coaches, I'm really not. I have a background, but in football, and I'm really not sure he knows what he's doing. He's trying to motivate, and of course, he doesn't even have a name. He's just prime time. So Deion Sanders, he hasn't changed a lick. I mean, if you're into his ball players love him, so that's great. But just for example, did you? They just lost a football game last week to an underdog team, and they were penalized for 12 men on the field 4 times. And 3 out of those 4 times was third down, and they stopped the opponent. And now the opponent keeps having the ball because of this penalty, and the opponent came back to win in overtime. And I said at the beginning, he's a great athlete and did some great things. He even played professional baseball. But they made what even on that point, what was the highlight was not that he played both in one day or what he did in the field. It was he played both in one day.
Yeah,
Look at me
it was
take
him.
the private jet. Look at me go
Yeah.
here. Now I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
Prime time is overstayed his welcome.
Yes.
Turn him off.
Agreed.
Mr. Weber.
All right, I need help, guys. I don't know how to say this guy's name. His last name is Suh.
Or
Sue.
Sue.
Adamaka Sue.
Ndamukong Suh.
Ndamukong Suh.
Ndamukong. Wow.
Ndamukong.
I am glad I did not embarrass myself by attempting to announce his name.
It's like saying Davy Oukas.
which of
For
course
those of you
is
who've been
the
watching, that's a
weakest.
recall back to our first episode.
Yeah, and you consider me the problem with the censors. Thank you very much. Yeah, right. Okay, fine.
Okay, so Ndamukong Suh. Remember, I used to watch games with him involved in it. And I would just focus on him. The actual play wasn't what I was interested in. I was interested in what he did after the play, who he kicked or shouldered or elbowed on the way out of the
Stepped
box.
on or
Stepped. Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. He got to be fairly well known in the NFL, and at one point he made the following quote, and I love this one. I think he had just signed with the Dolphins. He says, "I run this defense. I'm going to be here for the next 5 years. There is no guarantee any of you," and he's talking to his teammates, "will be. There's only a handful of guys that are good enough to play with me right now." So what kind of a message does that send to your teammates? Should I just go home because I'm not good enough to play with you? And we're on the same team? So, what do you guys think is the average fine that a player gets when they get fined in the NFL?
5, 10,000.
Yeah, I think it's a slap on the wrist of some kind.
Yeah.
Sue holds the record for most dollars fined in the history of the NFL. He's close to $700,000. So evidently, none of these penalties or fines or anything ever affected his play, and didn't learn anything from it. That's why they should have the escalating fines that make it hurt a little bit more. But that is the number 2 guy for me. Jeff?
All right. So before it was style over substance, this is a very talented player who you hated because he always beat you, but then you find out he's a garbage person off the field.
I love when Jeff calls people garbage.
He was a Hall of Fame caliber quarterback for a couple different teams. He always seemed to be in the right place at the right time for the big game. But then you find out he sent unsolicited D-pics to a female reporter. Had something to do with possibly a camera in her changing room. Oh, and then there was this little thing a couple years ago about scamming taxpayer PPE money to build a gym for his kids' college. Brett Favre.
It's pronounced Mavry.
and as so many people have gone down with the can't get him on this charge, can't get him on this charge. Let's get him with the IRS and let's finally send him down. I hope they do. I hope they send him up the river on the IRS charge for a long time for everything he's done and the despicable person he is.
Yeah. I agree.
Good call.
I was wondering if one of you were going to dive in on Mr. Favre.
Favre, yeah.
Favre.
That choice goes great with a porch light logger from Almanac Brewing, Alameda, California.
Does that leave Robbie?
I guess it does.
So,
yep, I'm at the same number 2 that Rob was. God, our thinking is so aligned. You must be really proud tonight, Rob. Ndamukong Suh, absolutely. Stepping on a guy's arm on Thanksgiving Day, not just stomping on it on the Thanksgiving Day game.
He thought it was a turkey leg.
Yeah, he was looking for the whip.
He was hungry.
He thought Madden put it out there for him.
I think he got the largest fine ever too, $100,000, right?
Yeah.
And then the kicking Matt Schaub in the crotch. That was a winner. Right. Like, I think the play was still going on. He'd already let go of the ball at that point. Oh yeah, he's just a bad dude. And Ndamukong Suh, we've already covered it, so I'm not going to belabor the point. But these guys keep getting jobs. That's what just stuns me.
Right.
Yep.
all criminal things and all of this stuff, and the guy still gets a job in the NFL because
Yeah.
clearly winning is more important than.
There ain't no cancel culture in the NFL.
That's right.
So says Taylor Swift.
Or you can beat up people, you can break the rules, you can commit crimes, but don't kneel. Don't you dare kneel.
That's right.
Who's
Ooh,
who's
we're
Neil?
flirting with disaster now.
Who's Neil?
All right. End of round 2, right?
That's
Yes,
right.
sir.
Which I think
All
brings us
right.
to everybody's least favorite segment.
Hey,
Bob
it's my
talks
favorite.
about mic'd up.
Thank you for that wild introduction. Let me spend a few minutes telling you what else is on the Mic'd Up platform. Let's start off with my friend Jim Darby. Jim looks like Jim is moving to a bi-weekly schedule where he'll be doing a half-hour show. Jim is a former executive with Easton Sports, and he's written a couple of books. One of them is called Bears and the Bigs, where he has interviewed former Cal Bears who have made it to the major leagues. And actually just met with Jim last week and found that he had published a second book called Right Off the Bat. These are stories of things that happened to him when he was selling Easton and Mizuno products in different organizations and countries, for that matter.
Wasn't he working with specific athletes to sign them to Easton?
Yes, yes. He was also working to help get the Mizuno brand accepted by Major League Baseball, which it was at some point. So Jim has a great show. He spends about 15 minutes talking about the Bears and the Bigs, and then another 15 minutes is more current events, what's going on in sports, and how he feels about it. Great listen. Jim's a great storyteller, and I think you'll look for him every other Wednesday, I believe at 4:00 Pacific. Rick Barry, former NBA and ABA All-Star Rick Barry, has a recurring show on the platform with his fellow host Cyrus. Their platform is what's going on in the NBA, what's going on with the Warriors, how things were when Rick was playing, and in general, what Rick's thoughts are about the direction of the game today. Again, Rick is very, very straightforward, maybe too straightforward for some, but I enjoy listening to them. If you want to send in a question to Rick, more often than not, he will answer it. He may not answer it the way you want him to, but he will answer it. So, good listen. Another personality on the platform is Bip Roberts, Leon Bip Roberts, former major leaguer and current Comcast in studio personality. Bip's been doing a lot of traveling lately, but he had a fairly regular show on the platform, and if you've been able to follow it, you'll see the announcements inside the Mic'd Up app of the next time he'll be coming up. Occasionally, Bip will have guests. He'll take all your questions, and his shows will range from 30 to 60 minutes, depending upon how much input he has from the folks that are listening. It's a great listen. We got a couple of folks that are teaching or have a show about pitching and the pitcher's mind is what it's called. Their names escape me. I know one is Mike Nisco, and I think the other is Greg Moore. I think Mr. Moore is active in college sports as a pitching coach, and Mr. Nisco has a podcast called The Pitching Shop. So they've combined to do a half-hour show on a fairly regular basis. What I've found is the show is great for all ages. So if you're a little leaguer, a Babe Ruth player, college player, or even somebody that's playing in men's senior baseball league, you can learn from them because it's more about um, what you're thinking about on the mound, not how you execute. So great show to listen to. Got a couple of other shows. Matt Steinmetz is going to be joining the platform again. He had been doing shows for a while. He's coming back. Some of you know him as a great basketball writer. Matt's excited because the highlights from Lowlifes have a beer sponsor, and he wants one too. So that'll bring him back to the platform. And then guys, I don't have access to the app right now, but a new show kicked off today. And it was a former local coach in the Bay Area who is now heavily involved in the Cape Cod League back east. And he did his first show today and spent some time talking about what it's like to play in the Cape Cod League. I'm sure some of you have seen, there's a movie out a while back with Freddie Prinze Jr. I think it's called Fever Pitch, and it's mostly about the Cape Cod League.
Yeah. Coach G and Elite Mindsets.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh,
so
cool.
that kicked off today. I didn't get a chance to watch it, but I met the coach briefly last week, and he's excited about joining the platform. So try to tune him in. If you want to know when these shows are, take a look in the app, and you'll see the upcoming shows and also the archive shows. So keep watching us, and let's move on to number 1.
True.
Okay. All right. This is going to be tough for some of us to choose from amongst all of these that we came up with.
Yes.
Why don't I kick it off here? I have never ever liked this guy. He may have been one of the best receivers in the NFL history. I don't care. I've never, as Jeff said, I've never met somebody who had to be the focus of attention all the time. And this was him. He was a cancer to any team he was on. He was great. Don't get me wrong, but Terrell Owens, just a terrible human being, and never really learned any humility out on the field. We all know the famous time they were in Dallas, and he had to dance on the Cowboys logo in the middle of the field. Why? What are you trying to prove? You're not dominating anybody or anything. Here's a good quote. I don't have any friends. I don't want any friends. That's how I feel. Okay. That's great. Are you responding to a question, or are you just shooting that out there so we all have to listen to you again? He has lambasted opponents. He's lambasted teammates. He accused his own quarterback of being a homosexual at one time. He during an Eagles ambassador celebration day where Hugh Douglas was getting an award as an Eagles ambassador, Owens got in his face during the presentation of the award. I mean, just go to the side. Nobody wants to see your face. Why do you have to involve yourself? Why do you have to humiliate somebody else? Just a terrible person. And I heard rumor a couple of years ago that he wants to make a comeback. Well, why do we even have to listen to this anymore? So
good luck. Good luck with that.
That's number 1 for me. Terrell Owens. All right. Hey, Jeff, what do you got?
So when you said receiver that you hate, 5 names came to mind. So I didn't know which direction you were going in. But I'm going to go quarterback that I hate. And this is the epitome of you're so talented that you basically can do whatever you want, no matter how wrong, and people will sweep it under the rug and treat you like a champion your whole life. Ben Roethlisberger. I always hated that dude. He had chip on his shoulder, big arrogant guy that thought he walked on water. Never mind, the whole, sexual assault stuff in college multiple times, and
Yep.
they shamed the victim, swept it under the rug, and walked him down the red carpet of his NFL contract. And hardly a mention of it ever since. What a and he was one of those guys that when everything went right, it was him. When everything went wrong, it was everybody else.
Yep. Yep. And I heard a number of times he had his entourage with him. So in case something went sideways, they were there to clean up his mess.
Yep.
Great.
Yep.
Would you call him a garbage person?
I would call him a garbage person.
That's heavy. That's heavy.
Speaking of garbage people, Robbie, you're next.
Oh, wow.
You asked for it.
Whoa, the crowd is just not happy with that one. All right. Well, my number one is he's one of those guys that it's completely infuriating. He possibly could have been the greatest running back of all time. He had the speed and the moves of an Eric Dickerson, but he could also run like a bull, like John Riggins. He could plow his way for yards as needed. But he had zero work ethic, and he was a really bad guy. Didn't try, so that frustrates me. Just because you have all that talent, and you don't use it. You just let it all go away. Um, he dragged a woman down the stairs. He had numerous assaults. He kept getting jobs in the NFL. I think he played for 3 teams briefly at each time. Then a bunch of assaults led to 7 years in prison. And then he assaulted guys in prison and got 25 more years in prison. And then he killed a guy in prison. And then he committed suicide. So I guess that's the happy ending of the story, I guess. Lawrence Phillips.
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Completely
Yeah.
forgot about him. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean that the frustrating thing is he had all of it. He had speed and power. He could be,
Yeah.
that agile, quick moving running back. Then he could just drop his head and plow through the defense. I mean, he had everything, and he could have been the greatest of all time, but he just could not. But everybody's going to say it's demons, but I think it's more than that. That guy just his mindset was just never right to start with. So Lawrence Phillips, and those are my 5.
Nice.
Yep.
And that leaves Marty, I believe.
I do.
Okay.
I believe that's true.
Maybe I'll end this on a little bit of a lighter note, that because that's hard to follow up on.
Yeah.
I hated this guy because he kept screwing up my Super Bowl bets. It started.
Don't hate yourself that way, Marty.
The tuck rule game, and then he proceeded to win all these Super Bowls. 36 against the Super Bowl 36 against the Rams, 38 against the Panthers, and the one sure one. And I remember this specifically. I was living in Vegas, and I took Dad. The only time I took Dad, wasn't in the greatest of health, but he wanted to go. We went down to a big sports bar place in Vegas to watch Super Bowl 51, and was lapping it up when Atlanta was up. What was it? 28-0, 28-3. And we all know who I'm talking about. It's Tom Brady.
Yeah.
It's not. This is a personal one because he cost me a lot of freaking money. Damn it.
You seem angry.
Miffed is correct, or miffed.
You hate Don Beebe for knocking the ball away from, what is it, Nate Newton or whoever it was in that
Yeah.
Super Bowl too, and
Yeah. Yeah.
How about having Marshawn Lynch just run the ball?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah. Well, that one you can't blame Brady on, but that one was just pure stupidity.
So it's safe to say you are not 80 for Brady.
Let's put it this way: I was giving a New England Patriot baseball cap. That's the only gift. I literally just turned right around and gave it right back. Thank you.
Good, Marty. Marty, did you put something in the hat before you gave it back?
I'm not that smart. That's good. I wasn't that, but I'm not that smart.
Well, we have, as usual, in the hate shows, we stir up a lot of hate. We got a lot of comments.
Good.
I got to guess at Robbie's theme.
I gave you guys a homework
Yeah,
assignment.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Which, I mean,
I only got it from the last person because the rest I wasn't as familiar with their history.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Cornhusker 69 is very mad about your theme.
I think you are 100%.
Oh.
5 Nebraska Cornhuskers, also known as Miami New University.
All right. I know I don't think he's listening tonight, so I'm going to have to send him a copy of the show. So
Yeah. He can look at the archive show.
That's right.
Sooner 70 though sent me several great comments. So
yeah, like their team has a whole lot of great history of players too.
Well, I have been getting texts, and we do have some comments here.
We got a lot of comments tonight.
I'm thinking of ignoring the text because those people can't take the time to just click a microphone in our. But I will read one of them right now before you get into the comments, Robbie, because this has been there are people that are outraged that we have not mentioned O.J. Simpson, and I think that's clearly because he was so good in Naked Guns 1, 2, and 3.
I agree.
I mean, how can you hate that kind of acting? It was such a good experience, you know. But yet
he didn't kill anybody when he was playing football.
That's true. That's true.
Allegedly.
Yeah. Allegedly.
So
go Bills. All right.
All right. What do we got?
Well,
got some comments for us?
God damn it.
What?
Jonesy for the win.
You can't just accept it, can you? For which one did I win?
Well, I think it was because of, well, I'm not going to find it. I think it was the Bosworth one.
Ah.
So, all right. Well, hey, our buddy Tiger steps up and left us a message.
Hey, this is Tiger. Here are my top 5 most hated football players. Number 5, Jim McMahon. Number 4, Albert Hayworth. Number 3, Michael Vick. Number 2, Deshaun Watson. And number 1, a stupid, embarrassing human being, Jamarcus Russell. My honorable mention is Eddie Martell, quarterback of the Washington Sentinels in the movie The Replacements.
Yeah.
Who was his number 4? I didn't recognize the name. Hayworth something?
Yeah.
Albert Hayworth?
Yeah. I have to go look him up now.
Is that Hainsworth? No, that was Michael.
Yeah, Hainsworth he's a terrible human being, but
yeah,
maybe that's who he means.
Yeah, that was a good one. So we got another comment in from a D. Riley, or as Jeff would say, Dryly.
Okay, I really don't hate anybody, but here's my list. Tony Siragusa for what he did to Rich Gannon. Deshaun Watson because of his off-field. Adam Sandler playing Paul Cruz in the remake of Longest Yard. Aaron Rodgers because he's a diva. And Rod Smart only because it's funny, because that's what his jersey states. That's my 5 top NFL hated players.
Very good. Very good.
Well done. Yes. Well done.
Hey, that brings up to Robbie. Remember that guy in the XFL whose name was He Hate Me?
He Hate Me. Yep. He Hate Me. I remember him getting interviewed, and the guy goes, "Who hate you?" And he goes, he, the man. Like, all right, so, this is just off the rails.
Albert Hainsworth was the guy who tried to stomp on the player when his helmet was off.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's who he means.
Yeah.
Hammy. This should be good.
Number 5, Antonio Brown for being a complete waste of talent. Number 4, Jack Tatum, who once said, "I like to believe that my best hits border on felonious assault." And number 3, Lyle Alzado. Howie Long once called him the 3-mile Lyle because he was like a nuclear reactor on the field. Number 2, Rusty Hilger, the only Raider to ever cry on the field. And number 1, of course, Aaron, I'm vaccinated Rodgers.
I think David Hum cried once on the field.
Yes.
Are we cry, or did we cry because we were watching David Hall?
Yeah,
Something like that.
that's a good list. Nick Cohn is here.
I don't have a top 5, but off the top of my head, I would say Antonio Brown.
Oh yeah. I don't think he made any of our lists, but
No.
yeah,
Could have.
there's another guy. He's from Mars. His sense of what's going on around him is completely different than everybody else.
Had I have not fallen into the Nebraska trap, he would have been on my list for sure. All right. A Savard 70, or as Jeff would say, A Savard 70.
Top 5 most hated NFL players right now: Russell Wilson for fleecing the Broncos and just how he acts off the field. Jalen Ramsey right now because I think he just talks too much. Deshaun Watson for obvious reasons off the field. Antonio Brown as well for all that talent wasted. And then right now, Jake Moody because I'm a 49ers fan and missed the field goal by the game.
Ooh, spite. Ooh.
That sounds like a Marty reason. I hate that guy because I lost money.
I think I have live audio of that last kick. All right, we got a Danny checking in too. This is we got
terrific, great.
Hi, this is Danny in Lake Tahoe. My list comprises players that have that would fight with their teammates or exhibited trashy behavior, were arrogant, used steroids, accused of sexual assault, attempted murder. So my list would be something like Bill Romanowski, Michael Vick, Ray Caruth, Lawrence Taylor, and no list could be complete without O.J. Simpson. And honorable mention to Aaron Rodgers.
Wow.
So Aaron Rodgers did none of those terrible things, but Danny just hates him anyway.
Way to go,
he's
Danny.
a Looney
Good
Tune.
list.
Come on, that guy's a Looney Tune.
So there was an O.J.
again,
Simpson mention. That's good.
But not as a player.
Okay, Nordberg.
Okay, well, hey, one of our regulars here, Vonnie, checks in.
So I'm not a football fan, but I have always kind of hated the Raiders and the Cowboys. But here are my top 5. Mostly they're just tools, these top 5. That would be number 5, Jim McMahon. Number 4, Brett Favre. Number 3, Terrell Owens or Tio. Number 2, Deion Sanders. And number 1, Aaron Rodgers. All tools.
We're getting a lot of Rodgers number 1s here. There's a consensus.
He was on my honorable mention. I almost went that direction.
Wow.
Yeah, we didn't have to break it down into subcategories.
Yeah.
Hammy has sent in a qualifier for his answers.
By the way, my 3 and 4 weren't hated by me. They were just hated by the players who had to play against them.
Was Hammy a? He's a Steelers fan, or is he a?
You're not going to hear the end of that one.
I saw him the other day in a '58 Jack Lambert jersey. It was great. He looked fantastic.
We got trouble now.
Never seen him dress better. So I think it's time for us to do our honorable mention. So we'll use this as our lead-in.
My honorable mention tools are, in no specific order, Antonio Brown, Tony Romo, Bill Romanowski, and Tom Brady.
See?
Okay.
See?
So I'm going to throw out my honorable mention. I only really have one. Everybody's covered Vic and Rogers and all those Looney Tunes. Antonio Cromartie.
Yeah.
And the reason I have Antonio Cromartie on my list is because he's got children. Lots and lots of children. Like Xavier McDaniel amounts of children.
Sean Kemp.
Sean Kemp.
Sean Kemp. Yeah, sorry, X-Man. Sean Kemp. But the funny thing I remember, I think it was Hard Knocks with the Cardinals, that they asked him to name his kids, and he could not name them all. That's how many kids he had.
That reminds me of Lawrence McCutcheon's family. Somebody in an interview called him Larry, and he said, "No, that's my brother's name."
It was like George Foreman 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then the daughter was Georgina, and then George Foreman 6, 7, and 8. Yeah, I love that interview. Like I can't even name them all.
I can't. We've gone through this show, and some people were outraged that we didn't say O.J. Simpson, but I completely forgot Kellen Winslow Jr. You guys
I remember
him?
him, but I don't remember why he was bad.
Yeah.
He was convicted as a serial rapist who assaulted at least 4 different women. He went to prison in 2021. He will be there for at least 14 years.
I not heard that. Wow.
A serial rapist?
Serial rapist.
A serial rapist. Wow.
How do you
giving a new meaning to Cheerios?
Yeah. No.
We were both shooting for the same joke. We just
Well, cerebral humor is a highlight of the Highlights from Lowlife show. It's really the hallmark of what we're striving for.
That's why we're called Lowlifes, folks. There you go.
So there's another garbage person, as Robbie so much enjoys, that we haven't mentioned yet, who was part of, if not actual responsible for a murder, but got no punishment for it. Ray Lewis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, how about that Hernandez guy?
Oh God, Aaron Hernandez. Yeah.
Oh, New England. Yeah. Right.
Did you ever see the thing on Saturday Night Live with Ray Lewis?
No.
They did a cartoon. Remember the Saturday TV Funhouse thing?
Yeah.
And it was just all sorts of events in world history, including him getting in the limo with blood all over in the limo and blood all over him, going, "I didn't see nothing." And then, like, Franz Ferdinand and the Prince of Serbia getting shot. I didn't see nothing. Lincoln, I didn't see nothing.
Marty, did you just snort?
Yes.
During a live broadcast? Oh my God!
All right. What next week? I'll throw up. Is that better? Is that what you want?
So Warren Sapp, by the way.
Oh yes.
Oh yes.
A lot of people like Warren Sapp, but I don't remember this quote. This is a great one. "I'm going to make you say please when you ask for an autograph. I'm going to make you say it, and then I'm going to leave half the autograph off."
Lovely.
What a great guy. Richard Sherman. Not everybody's favorite.
Oh yeah.
The king of trash talk.
Yeah, and don't piss me off. I'll stalk your house.
Yep.
Who was the idiot who shot off half his hand in a club?
Plaxico Burress.
Oh yes.
Yep.
Oh goodness.
Wide receiver.
Yes.
Not anymore.
He had to go through life. Jeff, you don't realize the emotional burden of going through life named Plaxico.
Well, now he's going through the rest of his life with a name like Stumpy.
Because Three Finger Brown was already taken.
All right.
Touche,
So I have
touche.
one more, and I think this is another name that I can't pronounce. So I'm gonna give it a shot, and you all laugh at me. Vontez Burfict.
Oh,
yeah, you
yes.
nailed it.
Oh, yes.
Don't
You
Perfect.
know.
nailed it.
Linebacker. Yeah.
Yes. In 8 seasons, he's been suspended for a total of 19 games for illegal hits, plus another 4 games for using performance-enhancing drugs. He received the longest suspension in the NFL history for repeated violations of unnecessary roughness rules. So he sounds like a nice guy.
How
Surface, but
could you go wrong with anything like perfect? I mean, come on.
He's near perfect.
Perfect.
all right. Any more?
I
I think
like,
we've
I could go
covered
on,
it.
but
After that episode like this, no wonder why he drank. Jeepers.
All right. So let's move on to part 2 of the show, college football.
Well, we already covered Nebraska, so
yeah,
let's
I think
go
I'm
from
gonna
there.
stick with my
I got
five and just carry over.
Nebraska, and
Oh, there's got to be some Florida State in there, right?
or a
Oh,
little
yeah.
Miami. I mean,
Or
Miami.
was it the Catholics versus the convicts? Wasn't that the
Yes.
big?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the guy from Notre Dame? Manti. Remember the one that he got catfished and then just went with the story about
Oh
the
yeah,
girlfriend and the whole
Teo.
thing?
Was it Teo?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Dale. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. Well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got fooled. I guess I'll just roll with it.
All right. Hey, thanks for joining us tonight on another episode of Highlights from Lowlifes. We will be back again next Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Pacific. Not sure what the topic is yet, but we will get that announced and the show posted within the next day or two. If you're following us, you'll see the announcement. Please tune in and please leave us comments. We're going to have to start giving away prizes. It's the only way I can clean out the house is to give away prizes for the best comments. So let's see.
I can donate my tie.
Oh, what? See, that's
See?
already valuable. It's got to be worth more than you paid for it now. So that's great.
If you win Marty's tie, let me suggest one thing: Woolite.
All right, folks. Have a nice evening. Thanks for joining.
Thank you. Take care. Thank you.